What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. Now, I know I've been very absent on my channel. I haven't been very active lately because for the past couple 2.5 weeks, I've been very sick. I had a walking pneumonia and I had to take a break from my channel. But now I'm slowly getting back and I've been trying to catch up on some of the movies. And I'm now going to be reviewing the new film that just came out recently that is directed by Ridley Scott, a returning, well-known, beloved of the original film Gladiator, called Gladiator 2. Now, I was not that very excited with Gladiator 2 before going into this movie. When I found out that they were announcing for a sequel, I got a little bit nervous because for the past decade, ever since The Martian, which I thought that movie was the biggest comeback of him as a filmmaker, he's been put on a lot of stinker movies. Now, I will admit that the movie that he made, The Last Duel, was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than most people, and it was during the pandemic. But then he made The House of Gucci. Then he made Napoleon that came out last year with Joaquin Phoenix, and I thought that movie was a major disappointment. And I was a little bit nervous when they were going to make Gladiator 2. And this movie is now taking place 16 years after the events of the first one, after the fall of the beloved character named Maximus, played Russell Crowe. We're following the character Lucius, who is now being forced back into the Colosseum as a gladiator and as a slave after his home was conquered by the tyrannical emperor of the twins. And now he's going to have to find his strength and honor again to bring back the glory of Rome. Now, I will say that after hearing the good positive word of mouth from critics that the movie was really good, I was willing to go in with an open mind and give it the benefit of the doubt. And even the marketing did really well, even though that the first trailer that they put out for that movie was not good and it didn't make a good impression, especially when they put out that hip hop modern day soundtrack onto that first trailer, and it kind of gave away a lot of the plot point, and it got me nervous. But then the second trailer came out, and I started to really come around, and it felt like this is the kind of tone that I was hoping to see. That bringing back the great score, great bringing back the whole style of it, the tone, the feel to it of what they had did in the original Gladiator movie. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, Gladiator 1 was one of my all-time favorite movies. It still is to this day. I watch it at least once or twice every year, and I love the performance of Russell Crowe. And this movie won an Academy Award for Best Director and Best Picture, and it was incredible. It's in my top 20 of one of my all-time favorite movies. It's peak. It was a complete masterpiece of the swords and sandal, especially telling a revenge story about a general who served the Romans, and it was taken away from him after his family was slaughtered by the tyrannical emperor played by Joaquin Phoenix, and he's seeking revenge, and he was forced to be in as a slave and as a gladiator. I love that storyline, and it was so rich and unique, even though it was a complete simple revenge story, but it was a lot more than that. And I love the way he did it back in the day, and I thought the film still holds up to this day. Now, my thoughts on Gladiator 2, I will say that the sequel was worthy and entertaining than I thought it would be. Now, I'm not willing to say that this movie is a masterpiece and it's not going to be a movie that will stand as a modern day classic, but I thought it was a really worthy sequel that really did it justice. And like I said, I was very nervous because I thought this movie was going to stink. But you got an incredible all-star cast. You got this new upcoming cast member of who is the leading role, who's playing Lucius, played by Paul Mescal. Now, I believe that he had an Oscar nomination for another film that he did a couple of years back. I can't remember what it was on the top of my head, but I thought Paul Mescal really delivered on the performance, and I really bought him into that character. And I'm not going to compare him to him and Russell Crowe. I thought that these two characters had a different type of style of acting of his own, especially the character itself, even though that the story beats were pretty similar to the first one. But at the same time, this movie kind of stands on its own, and I thought it did it justice to the story. And yes, the opening of the movie, when you see the big battle sequences, when you see Lucius getting his new home taken away from him, but I thought that the battle sequences were incredible. I mean, Ridley Scott is no new when it comes to doing spectacle. He delivers on the spectacle, even the cinematography, the sword fighting, the violence, the gore. And this movie has a lot of gore in it than you think. Even when movies that were not all great and that they were mediocre, he knows how to deliver the spectacle, and that's what he did in this movie. And I thought that Pedro Pascal was definitely fantastic. He plays a general that served the Romans, and he's doing his work for these new tyrannical emperors, which I thought his character was so complex and very compelling. He doesn't come off as a twirly mustache villain that you see many times. You really see a different side of that character that you never expected. You expected him to be the antagonist in the movie, but he's really not. And I thought that we see two sides of the coin. And I still wish we would have got a little bit more Pedro Pascal's character. I thought he really came off as a little bit more of a Maximus figure once you see the movie in context. I thought the returning character of Connie Nielsen, who was the mother of Lucius, I thought she was incredible. You may have known her in other movies like the DC films. She was also in Wonder Woman movie. She was in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and she still looks incredible to this day. She aged like a fine wine. Like literally, she's incredible in the film. I thought she really served a purpose to the story. And Denzel Washington I was a little bit nervous of how they're going to use Denzel Washington because he's one of the all-time greatest actors working in Hollywood, and he's actually at a point where he can do be in any movie he really wants. And he chose to work with Ridley Scott on Gladiator. And this is the second movie that he's worked on the film with Ridley Scott because he did another movie with Russell Crowe called American Gangster, and I thought that movie was great, and he was performance was stellar. And I thought he did a great job in this movie. There were times in the movie that I will admit that he kind of mellowed in at times, but at the end of the day, he still managed to pick it up and he was incredible. He plays a character who is one of the owners that buys one of the gladiators, buys one of the slaves to be their warriors, their gladiator, and he's an opportunist and he's willing to play both sides no matter what in order to make a name for himself so he can rise to power for him. And I thought he did a great job playing the antagonist in the movie. And I thought that the twins were great, even though we didn't get a lot of much screen time with them. That the one who were the ones who took power of the Roman Empire, I thought they were great. And I can't remember what the other actor's name at the top of my head, the one who plays the unhinged twin brother. And I thought that Joseph Quinn, who was a little bit more reasonable, but also a piece of shit at the same time. But Joseph Quinn is incredible in the film. You may have known him from the show Stranger Things. He's also going to be in the upcoming Fantastic Four film, and he will be playing Johnny Storm. And we have two actors working in the same movie together because Pedro Pascal is going to be playing Reed Richards. Look, the battle sequences in the Colosseum really delivered. It felt like we were back in that world of the first Gladiator movie, and it felt like it could have been made in the late 90s and the early 2000s of the swords and sandals of the genre. Because how often do we see movies like this to this day? We really don't. Ridley Scott is the only director out there who's pretty much in his 80s who's still making movies like this. Sure, they're not all great and they don't always deliver, but there is some good stuff in it that he does when it comes to spectacle. And I don't know any other directors will ever deliver a good Swords and Sandals, and I don't know if we'll ever get a movie like that in a very long time. I mean, hopefully, when this movie's successful, maybe we might get more because I miss movies like this. I miss seeing Swords and Sandals and telling a rich, compelling story, kind of like the first Gladiator movie. Even the movie Troy that came out 20 years ago, which, oh my God, I cannot believe that movie came out 20 years ago. And I thought that movie was very underrated. And look, the few things that I did not like about this movie was the opening of the prologue showing you the events after the events of the first movie, but I was a little bit bothered of how these two emperors were able to overthrow the empire and be able to take over. They never really quite addressed that movie whatsoever, and I was a little bummed by it, but I'll give that a pass. I mean, it is what it is, and that I'm not gonna like overthink it too much. But I will say that the CGI of the animals of the baboon monkey sequences was very distracting and cringy as hell. It was a little over, it was way over the top than I thought it would, and I thought that was going to pull me out of the movie. And I didn't think the CGI monkeys were that quite necessary. I still, you spent so much money on the budget that you really could not have real animals, but whatever, it is what it is. Even the sharks in the Colosseum when the Romans flooded the Colosseum to have the gladiators fight to the death, to have their ship battle sequences, and you somehow they were able to put sharks in the Colosseum, which I don't know how accurate that was back in the day. I mean, I know it's a fictional story and we have to suspend our disbelief, but I thought that it was a little bit of a far-fetched to put the sharks in the Colosseum. And it's not a spoiler. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they put a lot of that stuff in the trailers, so there's nothing really that much to spoil. But I will say that overall, I was very impressed by the movie, and I thought it was a decent follow-up. It was a good story. Sure, it's not going to be on the same level with the original Gladiator, and it's not going to stand the test of time of one of the all-time modern-day classic movies of Ridley Scott. This is going to be one of those movies that it's going to be really a good 2024 film. And Wicked and Gladiator 2 have opened on the same weekend. They're literally pulling that marketing situation with the whole Barbenheimer. Because remember last year when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out last year on the same weekend and it became a big hit at the box office? Barbie made over $1 billion at the box office, while Oppenheimer, who that made a lot of money, won so many Oscars, and that was a big win for the both of them. Now, I don't see this movie getting a lot of box office numbers as much as Wicked, because Wicked has got a lot of big marketing and it's very popular and it's got a lot of rave reviews from critics and audiences who really loved it. And the first weekend has sold out on the showing. So I have no doubt that Wicked is going to win the box office over Gladiator 2, because you got to remember, Gladiator 2 is an R-rated movie that is a historical epic drama, while like Wicked is a family film that is a PG that you could take your family out to see, and it was based on an adaptation from the musical. And yeah, so of course that the more people will go see that movie over Gladiator 2. Now, would I recommend seeing Gladiator 2 in the cinema? Yes, I definitely think you should go see it on your first viewing. I think it was a great experience for the first time. Would I watch it again in theaters? No. Would I buy it on digital? Yes, I absolutely I would. I would definitely do a double feature on both of these movies. Now, there's another negative that I forgot to bring up. I thought that the runtime, I felt the length, even though that the movie was like 2.5 hours and it's on the same length of the first one. But I feel like that there are parts of the movie that kind of dragged out a little too long, and there are parts of the subplot with some of the supporting characters kind of felt like very convenient and felt a little bit rushed. But it was not enough to pull me out of it. It's not a make or break for me. But but comparing to Gladiator 1, I did not feel the length of the runtime for the first movie. I was in it from beginning to end because it was a very simple, straightforward, well-paced movie. While this one, it had a little too much stuff going on that I feel like, okay, we could have trimmed out at least 20 minutes of the movie, that at least. But I still had a good time and I was very well entertained. No pun intended.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
So my official rating for Gladiator 2, I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. Now, what did you think of Gladiator 2? Were you satisfied with the sequel? Did it live up to your expectations? Or were you someone out there that thought you were very disappointed and you weren't satisfied with it and it wasn't for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and let me know your take. But try not to like let the comments be so long. Don't write a novel. Just keep it short and straight to the point and actually be respectful too. Now, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I know it's been ages since I've been on, but now I'm back on and I'm going to do a little bit more reviews, and there's going to be a lot of movies that I'm going to catch up on as much as I can and give my thoughts on it on my YouTube channel. And make sure you hit the like button on the video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up because it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps my video. And also make sure you hit that subscribe button. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers, so help me reach that goal. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. I hope you guys go see Gladiator 2, and I will plan on seeing Wicked, and I'm really excited from seeing this movie. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you stay tuned for more of my content.